So this is my audience member, Noah. Yeah. So what would you do if your immune system started attacking your brain and spinal cord, the essential parts of your body that help you move, see, and think? These are the things that people with multiple sclerosis deal with on a daily basis, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit more about each of these. So my knowledge on this topic, one, comes from my own mother. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 3 years ago. So I've attended doctor's appointments, neurological appointments with her. And then I also gained more information from reading the medical journals and articles from my research. So before I do begin, multiple sclerosis is not the same for everybody. So this will more than likely be just an overview of the disease. So to better understand the impact of multiple sclerosis, we first need to know what it is. So in a medical journal published by Marcus R., he describes multiple sclerosis as a chronic autoimmune disease that damages the protective covering around the nerves in the brain due to inflammation. So multiple sclerosis is a central nervous system like autoimmune disease, so that affects your brain, optic nerves, and the spinal cords. And around your nerves, you have this thing called myelin, and it's a fatty tissue that protects your nerves from just outside causes. And so when you have multiple sclerosis, your brain, obviously, it inflames, it damages the nerves, and that can lead to just pain, inflammation, things like that. And then there are three types of MS. There is clinically isolated syndrome, relapsing and remitting MS, and then progressive multiple sclerosis. So clinically isolated syndrome is just a one-time occurrence. It's usually a 24-hour period that you experience inflammation and pain. And then after that, there's not going to be any relapses, and there's not usually any permanent damages that follow that. Relapsing multiple sclerosis is multiple flare-ups or attacks over weeks or years span. Some people can make a recovery from this, but most usually do not. And then progressive multiple sclerosis is the most aggressive type of the disease. It's just continuous attacks. You don't really get any better, and there's just a lot of degradation of like your motor skills. That's what I meant. So like using the bathroom will be hard, eating will be hard, writing, holding things. Yeah. So knowing what MS is only tells us a fourth of what the disease actually is. So next thing I want to talk to you about is the causes and symptoms. So in a book published by Duda et al. In 2014, they say that the cause of multiple sclerosis is unknown, but an interplay between environmental factors and susceptibility genes appears most likely. So most studies have found that there's not a direct cause of multiple sclerosis, but like this said, susceptibility genes, and that is most common through the HLA-DRB1 gene. And that gene is responsible for differentiating between your immune system and the rest of your body. And when that gene is mutated, it causes your immune system to start attacking itself. But there are over 200 plus genes which you can inherit multiple sclerosis from. You can also get it from, like I said, environmental factors. So smoking, a vitamin D deficiency, geographical locations can matter too. So if you're in high stress environments all the time, that can lead to you developing a chronic illness later down the road. And multiple sclerosis is one of the most common. Symptoms that do follow with this are tingling, fatigue, pain, memory problems, mobility issues, vision impairments. Yeah, so more on the tingling. So say when your foot falls asleep and it feels like it's vibrating all the time, that's what they'll feel a lot. Your feet are just vibrating and it feels like pins and needles in your feet. Really painful. So even though multiple sclerosis is challenging, there are treatment options available that can help manage its symptoms and slow its progression. So in a journal published by Gans and Ben-Hur, they discuss the different treatment options available. So the first treatment I'd like to talk about is called a disease-modifying therapy, and this is an example of that. So what disease-modifying therapies do is they will suppress your immune system so that it's not attacking your body and causing flare-ups. And they just help slow the progression because, it's not damaging your myelin sheath. You can also get treatments through medications, IV medications, physical therapy. But this is what we'd call a Kesimpta shot. And so it's kind of like an EpiPen, other things. You would just pop the cap off and then stick it in your arm or your leg, just anywhere that you have fatty tissue. This is where you'd want to inject it at. So even though multiple sclerosis has no cure, treatment can give us hope for a future. And so that's going to bring us to my last thoughts. So, as I said in the beginning, multiple sclerosis is a disease that targets the core makeup of our bodies, and I hoped to convey that through all my information today. So, today in my speech, I talked to you about what multiple sclerosis is, the causes and symptoms, and then the treatment options available to those who have it. So, even though multiple sclerosis does have challenges, advancements in research give us hope for a future where nobody has to deal with its effects. And then here's my audience member again. He's sitting, sorry. Right here. Okay. Thank you for watching my speech.